Ever wondered how your daily grumbles and grievances could be shaping your brain and health? We all complain, don't we? Maybe it's about the weather, a tough day at work, or that annoyingly slow internet connection. Complaining, you see, is a common thread that weaves through the fabric of our everyday lives. But have you ever stopped to ponder just how much this seemingly harmless act of venting might be affecting you? It's quite surprising to realize that our casual complaints might be doing more than just letting off steam. They might be shaping our brain in ways we wouldn't even suspect, and influencing our general health in more ways than one. The power of complaining is such that it can have profound impacts on our lives, both mentally and physically. It's not just about expressing dissatisfaction, it's about how our brain processes these expressions and how our body reacts to them. Our daily grumbles might just be leaving an imprint deeper than we realize. So if you find yourself complaining often, you might want to listen up. To understand how complaining affects us, we first need to dive into our brain structure and function. Our brain, an intricate organ, has a remarkable ability referred to as neuroplasticity. This term signifies the brain's potential to modify itself through our experiences and behaviors. Fascinating, isn't it? Now let's introduce another term, synaptic connections. These are the links between our brain cells or neurons, which transmit information from one to another. The more often a particular pattern of thoughts, feelings, or behaviors is repeated, the stronger these synaptic connections become. This is the fundamental principle behind learning and habit formation. So what happens when we complain frequently? Each time we do, our brain fires a particular set of synaptic connections. With repetition, these connections strengthen, essentially training our brain to follow this pathway more easily in the future. This is akin to carving a path through a dense forest. The more you tread the same path, the more defined and accessible it becomes. This is where the danger lies. The stronger these negative synaptic connections become, the more our brain tends to lean towards negativity. It's like a snowball effect. The more we complain, the easier it becomes to complain, and the harder it becomes to see the positive aspects of life. To put it simply, by constantly complaining, we're essentially molding our brain to be more prone to negativity. It's an unsettling thought, isn't it? The constant griping we thought was harmless chatter can actually alter our brain's structure to favor pessimism over optimism. Essentially, the more you complain, the more your brain becomes wired to follow this negative pattern. This is not just a metaphorical expression, but a physiological reality. The question then is, do we want our brains to become complaint factories, or can we steer them towards becoming havens of positivity? The choice, as they say, is in our hands, or rather, in our minds. Now that we understand how complaining can reshape our brain, let's delve into how it impacts our overall health. Complaining, particularly when it becomes a chronic habit, doesn't just affect our mental state and our brain's wiring. It can also have significant physical implications. Chronic complaining can lead to elevated levels of stress hormones like cortisol in our bodies. You see, when we complain, our bodies perceive these negative emotions as a form of stress. And stress, my friends, is a silent saboteur when it comes to our health. When your body is under stress, it releases hormones like cortisol to help you cope. This is part of the so-called fight-or-flight response. In short bursts, this response is incredibly helpful. It's what helped our ancestors survive in the face of danger. However, when this hormonal response is triggered too often, it can lead to a host of health problems. Elevated cortisol levels can weaken your immune system, making you more susceptible to infections. It can also increase your blood sugar levels, which over time can lead to conditions like diabetes. In addition, cortisol promotes the storage of fat in the body, particularly around the abdomen, increasing the risk of obesity and all the health problems that come with it, including heart disease. Moreover, cortisol can interfere with your sleep patterns, making it difficult for you to get a good night's rest. Poor sleep, in turn, can lead to a whole other set of health issues, from poor concentration and mood swings to serious conditions like heart disease and stroke. It's a bit of a vicious cycle, really. The more we complain, the more stress we put on our bodies, which leads to more health problems, which gives us more to complain about. It's easy to see how chronic complaining can trap us in a downward spiral of deteriorating health. Clearly, the effects of complaining extend far beyond a momentary release of frustration. So, we know complaining can be harmful, but how can we break this habit? Breaking free from the cycle of negativity starts with shifting our mindset. One powerful tool at our disposal is gratitude. By intentionally focusing on what's going well in our lives, we can counterbalance the tendency to dwell on the negatives. Another impactful method is practicing mindfulness. This involves being present in the moment, observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we notice ourselves slipping into a complaint, we can acknowledge it, let it go, and choose a more positive response. Lastly, we can employ positive reframing. This is not about ignoring problems, but rather finding a positive perspective or silver lining in challenging situations. It's like swapping out an old scratched lens for a clear new one. By integrating these practices into our daily lives, we can gradually reduce the frequency of complaints and, in turn, foster a healthier brain and overall well-being. Remember, it's all about training your brain to focus more on the positives than the negatives. So, we've learned today that our complaints do more than just annoy those around us. They have a profound effect on our brain and overall health. We've discovered how constant complaints can rewire our brain, making us more prone to negativity and less receptive to positivity. We've also seen how this negativity can impact our general health, leading to increased stress levels, blood pressure, and even heart disease. Moreover, we've explored ways to break free from this damaging cycle of complaint. Simple strategies like practicing gratitude, focusing on solutions rather than problems, and being mindful of our words can help us shift from a complaining mindset to a more positive one. So next time you feel a complaint coming on, pause and think about how it might be affecting you. Remember, change starts with awareness. And now that you're aware, you're well on your way to a healthier, happier mind and body. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more enlightening content like this.